Good morning. We're going to do Earth Center Movement Level 2 class. What that means is that the movements are, in this lesson, all standing movements. They're mostly for fascia release, core stabilization, and balance. They are able to be done by pretty much anyone. If there's anything that you can't do, just either modify it so that you basically follow along. Maybe you're able to improve and do more of it later, probably. So what we're going to be doing here is movements where we're going to try and stay very controlled and aware of each nuance of the movement, with all the sensations that we're feeling in our body. And we're going to be doing our best to control our breathing. We're mostly going to breathe with the nose, the most that you can. Please do that. We're going to also be doing a core stabilization during many of the movements, which simply means that we're going to be firming up the tissues that are kind of in the interior of our body, the muscles that help us stay balanced, right? That help us that help us move with stability, basically. And the best way, or the way that we're going to do it today, we're going to stabilize the core by starting with the toe, the big toe, which the little toes will follow as well. We're going to be pressing the toes into the ground so that the arch lifts a little bit. And we're going to have the outside of the feet roughly parallel. So just be checking that posture. Also notice throughout the different movements, if you have a tendency to have your tail, your back arch this way a little bit, this is a good time to begin to kind of just see if you can get this pelvic bowl, it's roughly outlined by your pant line, to be a little more level, right? So we don't want to have it spill forward, and we don't want to have it spill backward. We want to find a place that feels like, for us today, roughly horizontal in that plane and in this plane too, but mostly we're talking front to back right now. So outsides of the feet are basically parallel, and we have a nice vertical posture. And the core sequencing is that the toe presses down, then the pelvic floor muscle tightens a bit, then the gut and the butt. Okay, so we're not gripping really hard. We're firming. Okay, we're gathering. Let's say, we're embracing that system. We're generally doing that as we exhale. Okay, because if you can imagine, if you were firmed, right, which includes the diaphragm being a bit tight right here, right, inhaling right now is hard. So what we want to do is we want to inhale when we're melting this system, opening it, okay, and then exhaling, gathering. All right, so it's a pulse. Sometimes it's going to be super obvious, and sometimes it's going to be a little harder. So not to worry, it's all going to work out just fine. Okay, so first movement, we're going to go ahead and lift an arm, grab this wrist with the other hand, take a breath in. At the top of the inhale, begin to tighten that core sequence. So toes down, butt and gut. Now we're exhaling, we're lifting this arm, pulling with the other arm, beginning to tip, and inhaling back as we melt everything all the way back to the toes, okay? Inhale again, begin the lifting, begin the sequencing of the firm core, tipping, exhaling. At the end of the movement, you can begin to open a little, inhale back, and melt. Okay? So let's do this together again. We're going to take a breath in. At the top of the inhale, we begin to press the toes, the butt, and the gut, and we get ourselves hands going skyward, exhaling, tipping, opening, and controlling ourselves back on the inhale. And let's float out of that. Okay? We're going to do that one more time. I want you to notice that on the way out of the movement, keep breathing, you really need to keep this area stable. And that's where the momentum comes from. That's where the strength comes to lift yourself back up. So once again, inhale, lifting core stabilized. Exhale, tip, open, inhale up, and float out of that. Okay, so it's a big movement in order to really slowly pull yourself back, because we don't want to lurch back. We're controlling ourselves very, very slowly, very gradually. Really pay attention to all the sensations that you can, and there's a lot to pay attention to, so you'll get better at this, and I'll try and remind you as we go. So we're going to take the next arm, lift it up, take a breath in. At the top of the inhale, you're beginning to press the toe, gut, butt, lifting, exhaling, tipping. The end of this movement or towards the end, begin to open a little. Inhale back. Melt open. Exhale, firm. Tip, lift, open. Slowly up, inhaling. Melting, exhaling. Keep this hand going up. Slowly come back. One more time. Exhale, up. Keep it going up. Tip. Stay nice and tall as we open. Inhale back. And melt and float all the way out of it. Okay. That's the first movement. It can be done in the morning and in the evening, all by itself. It's a really good way to help get the fascia opened up. Every night that we go to sleep, the tissues, the fascia, it congeals a little bit. It kind of like, that's why we have this natural impulse, or we could have the natural impulse upon waking to stretch. But think about your day. Think about if that is your natural impulse, or if sometimes you are already frantically leaving the bed and skipping that. Something to note. We want to try and do these sorts of movements integrated throughout the day. That's the goal. The goal of earth-centered movement is to get us to be moving more from an organismic level, not just moving to stay in shape or to be healthy, but moving to express our humanness. A lot more to say on that another time. Okay, next movement. We're going to go ahead and bend one elbow behind the head. Don't let the elbow pull your head down. Remember to keep your pelvis horizontal. We're going to take a breath in. At the top of the inhale, firm the core, starting with the toes. Now in this firm position, we're going to exhale and make a swivel. So there's a circle that you're basically painting on the sky with this elbow. That's your exhale. When you get to the end of the exhale, pause, melt, inhale, exhale the opposite direction. Exhale as long as you can. When you're done, inhale, melt, exhale. You want to keep this area firm during the exhale so that we're learning how to basically control the upper body. Inhale. Movements. There we go. Inhale and float out of it. So when we're stabilized and firm in the core, we're not going to be responding with a lot of sway in the hips when we do that movement. So that's the key of that one. Opposite arm. So fold one arm behind the head and stay tall. Keep the pelvis horizontal. Feet are parallel on the outside. Take a breath. At the top of the inhale, you're pressing the toes down. You're firming the pelvic floor, the gut, and the butt. And now we're exhaling. It's a gentle circle. We're finding, inhale when you need to. We're finding the parts of the movement where it's a little sticky and lean into those. Stay relaxed and calm, even when the movement is full. And float out of that. Go ahead and let yourself rebalance. Every time we do something where either neurologically or from a fascia standpoint, the body opens, we want to take a moment to feel that, to sense that, because our habitual contraction patterns, they're connected to our self-image, our interior idea of where we occupy and how we occupy space, okay? So every time that there's an opening or an adjustment that we've created through our conscious movement, we have an opportunity to imprint that and overlay it on top of the habit. So now the new habit actually is a more open, let's say, or more balanced or a more dynamic state of either movement or posture, okay? So that's why we take a little movement, a little moment like this. We rebalance to see where do we really feel balanced in our feet, so you can go too much in your toes, too much in your heels. You can tip one way or the other until you find that sweet spot that for you today feels right. And then you can check your pelvis and where do you really want to hold that? Okay, next movement. We are going to fold one arm in front of the body. Okay, this just could be by itself a shoulder mobility movement, but we're going to be focusing on getting the shoulder blade to slide over the rib cage on the back. Okay, so take a breath in. Keep this arm nice and straight. Take a breath in. Firm the core. Exhale. Let that shoulder blade slide across as you turn the opposite direction, exhaling. Inhale and melt yourself open. So right now there's no core firmness. Inhaling, firm, exhale. Slowly back to center as you inhale and melt. So on my next move over, I'm exhaling, really reaching these fingers. Inhale back to center. Beautiful. Okay, next arm. Set it up. Take a couple breaths to just get ready. So when we slot, we have a few phases of this movement. One is just setting it up. The other is beginning to slide the shoulder blade across the rib cage. You can feel how that moves. And then as that movement is turning up, as the volume is turning up on that movement, we're keeping the shoulder down, keeping our posture tall, and we're turning our head. And this creates a significant elastic tension in the body. So when we unwind the movement, we want to do it very carefully. We don't want to spring out of it. Take a breath in, firm the core, exhaling. When you're at the end of your exhale, slowly inhale, soften yourself back to center. Exhaling, turning. Inhaling to center. One more time. Press the toes, the gut, the butt. Exhaling. Stay tall. Slowly back on inhale. And float out of it. Beautiful. Once again, give yourself a moment to just rebalance yourself. Each one of these movements, there may be a very, very small opening, an opportunity to gain more sense of self-awareness or balance or core stability or a fascial opening. And it may be very, very small, but in time, you may find yourself having a very, very different relationship to a lot of things, to your own sense of how you feel in your skin, to the way you walk, to the way you sense the world around you. Okay, a lot of possibilities. So next movement, hands are going to be out to the side, both palms up, flip one palm down. And now let's practice just for a moment exchanging the hand position. And let's go a little farther. Keep the arms as parallel to the ground as you can, so you're like a big T of sorts. And as the arms twist farther, you'll notice one shoulder wants to move forward and one wants to move behind you. And you'll notice also that as you go a little more firmly into the movement, there's a point at which it looks like your head wants to follow the upturning hand. So at some point you can wait for it. You'll feel the impulse. So we want to move the head based on the impulse as opposed to knowing that that's what we're going to do next. Okay? So we're going to inhale to center. Firm the core. Exhale to the turn. Inhale to the center, melting. Everything's soft now. Exhaling, firming. All right, let's do that one more time. So we're alternately twisting the arms, and at the moment at which we feel the impulse of the head to turn, we go ahead and turn it. Okay? At the very end of the movement, we're almost done, but we're still twisting a little bit, and we're trying to keep the fingertips really reaching away from each other. And there's a moment at which you're going to feel like you're going to want to arch into it, okay? In that moment, we also have to remember that we started in the toe, okay? So we want to keep this entire line that goes from the toe up through the middle of the legs, into the pelvic floor, the gut, the butt, the torso's firm, and now we've got this incredible tension on both arms, the neck, and now we're pulling in from the spine. So it's as much of a full body movement as we can make, and it's significantly firm. So we want to be real slow and controlled on the way out. That's our inhale. Exhale, turn, turn, turn. Just keep feeling it. You don't have to get anywhere inhaling. Just play with it. Just express it. Try and stay relaxed in your face. So we twist, twist, turn. And if it feels good to luxuriate in the contraction, like that morning stretch, then do it. And if you don't want to go there, don't go there. Just go part way. Just go to here. But if you want to go to here, go to here. If you want to go to here, exhaling. Inhale slowly, melting everything, especially your butt. Exhaling, tightening. One more time, back and forth. Inhale, center. In the middle, it's all floaty. And exhaling, turning, 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 opening. Inhale back and float out. Really nice movement. It takes a lot to perfect the movement, or at least get good at it. Forget about the perfection part. Okay, let's go ahead and slide one arm down the leg while the other one comes on up. As you're doing the movement, you're just to try to keep your ear over your shoulder. So we're going to the place where the head wants to hang neutral and relaxed. Okay, that's the beginning of the movement. So it's all in that very floaty phase. No real tension, no real effort. Now we're going to go a little more. We're going to pull down an inch, 2 inches, whatever you want to do to increase this movement. So you can track with your fingertips. Actually caress your legs. Where your hands are going down your leg and up your other leg. So as we go into it now a little bit more, you can begin to raise the climbing hand up. Up, up, up. Keep it coming up. Keep it coming up. Keep it coming up. It's part of a continuum. So we start with a very easy tipping movement, and we find out where it wants to go. And at some point, the arm can have its own trajectory up. Okay? Shake it out. find out how things feel. Maybe something feels more open. Maybe you feel some kinks that got illuminated in that movement. We're going to do some arm circles, and then we're going to do some different forward bending movements. So just go ahead and open your arms up forward, making a circle. We're going to make a few in this direction. Keep your toes pushed into the ground. Keep the arms nice and long. And notice where the tension is in the back. And see if you can really pull into that area. And now we're going to reverse. Different places are going to feel easy in the movement. Different places are going to feel hard. So just anticipate, because you've already been around there once, right? You're like, oh yeah, that was that part that was hard. And then prepare yourself to enter that area. Okay, we're going to go one more time around. Now, we're going to bring the right arm down and the left arm back. Okay, so we're doing opposites. Now we're going to switch. The left arm comes down and the right arm goes up and back. Keep your toes gripped. Try and stay relaxed. It's like walk and chew gum, right? Okay, now hug yourself and open. Open and close. Embrace, open. It's a bit of a swing, but it's also a pull. You can do it slowly. You can slap and open, or you can lift and close. Okay, shake that on out. Now we're going to do the good morning movement. It's a forward bend, pivoting from the hips, keeping the posture nice and firm. So once again, we're going to engage the core, sequence by pressing the toes into the ground, which creates a bit of a lift in the arch. That's the signal that the rest of this system, okay, up the legs, into the pelvic floor, the gut and the butt, the midsection, all the way up into the diaphragm, right? That's firm. It's not tight, okay? It's gathered. So let's think of it as that, gather the core. So we're going to gather it up from the ground right up to here. And we're going to tip forward. So we're just going from neutral, vertical, whatever your posture is feeling like right now, gather the core, tip forward, and come on back. So we go from neutral standing to neutral, like so where your body wants to hang right now. Everybody's position is going to be different, but just so you know, we're not rolling, okay? Even at the end, when we get to here, we're not curving. That will be a different movement. This, for now, is a movement to control the movement of the pelvis. So we want to keep the arms a little bit down and a little bit back. We want to keep the head looking straight forward so that when we move, the position of the neck doesn't change. All right, so now, moving down, approaching the hang, neutral hang point, we're going to start to pull past that point. When we get to vertical neutral, we're going to pull past that point. Coming down, neutral hang, pull past. And as you go back, you're going to notice your back is contracting. Your butt's part of that system, so you're going to really be tightening the butt. The breathing is gentle and easy. So it's not impossible to inhale while the core is firm. just more challenging. Notice how much toe gripping it takes to pull yourself down and then slowly lift yourself up. Really study the core stabilization. One more time, back and down. Tighten your butt. Go ahead and roll the tops of the feet. So there's 26 bones in each foot and each hand. So the articulation capacity in the feet is a lot. Think about what you can do with your hands. So the other way to roll your toes, you can roll the tops, right? So you roll them upside down. You can also roll the bottoms. So you get up on the toes and you make a circle in each direction. One direction's going to be easier. Maybe your out turn. So we want to keep the feet flexible. Usually people put their feet in shoes and they walk on hard surfaces, modern people, and slowly the foot takes the form of the function that it's being asked to provide, which isn't much. If it's in a hard shoe and it's on a hard surface, it doesn't really have to do the movements that it would if it was a primal foot that had to be walking on uneven terrain. Maybe there was a rock or a stick. The foot will naturally use the arch contraction to lift us away from that. Next movement, do your best on this one and maybe try practice it. Come back to this part of the recording. So we're going to do good morning movements, but we're going to find a couple different ways to create stabilization in the different ways the pelvis moves. So the pelvis moves forward and back. It also moves laterally side to side, but it also moves forward and back. There's two bones here that articulate independently. At least we hope so. Okay? So we're going to do the good morning movement, but we're going to lift one foot off the ground. So the leg stays straight and we just we tuck or hike this hip upward. Okay? And we're going to do the same movement. So let's try that out. So you really have to grip the other foot because now you're working on balance. If you have to put your other foot down for a minute, no worries, I just did that. Just try and keep yourself controlled and balanced. The firmer the floor is going to make this easier. Too much of a cushy blanket. Cool. Okay, let's switch. Hike up your hip. So I'm just doing 5 of those right now. You could just work yourself up to doing 10. Whatever's fine. Okay, next variation. Same movement. This is the good morning movement for isolating the hip or dissociating the hips. Bend the knees a bit. Now lift one foot. And let's continue the movement. So we've adjusted the way the hip is connected to the rest of the body by bending the legs. So now, here we go. Now, the thing that I'm wanting you to do is don't let the other leg go back. You want to keep your feet near each other. So this is where the control, the retraining of the hip comes in, because there's going to sometimes be a natural impulse for this foot to want to go back, but we're adjusting that. Okay. Next foot, bending softly in the knees, lifting the other foot this time, and go. Again, kind of an intense movement, but try to stay relaxed. I'm trying to keep composed in life. This is good training. Can I really get into a really firm position? Keep my breathing relaxed through my nose. Keep my face relaxed, even though it's demanding. Okay? So let's shake that out. Okay, that was great. So that's going to be it for now for the level 2 movements. It's a good time to go back and check the other recordings, see if you want to do some somatic exercises. We're also going to have some level 3 movements, and the main difference with those is that you need to be able to squat. And I will try and make a video on squatting if you're not quite there yet, but if you can basically squat yourself down, then you'll be able to do the lesson 3 movements. So thank you very much, and I would like to see you next time, but it's a recording. So, but yeah, at some point I'm going to see you next time. Aloha.